Hello everybody, welcome back. Okay, let's have a look at, we're going to look at XRP. First, we're just going to have to run down a bit of Bitcoin to see what's going on with that. So we did the stream last night, we said, alright, come back down to the horizontal, which is not just a basic horizontal given all these bottom candle bodies, but 50 exponential moving average again on the weekly. So we came down there again yesterday, and as we were doing the stream last night, said it's actually quite likely that we're going to bounce from here. But remember, it's a bounce in the form of a downtrend, so being range bound at the bottom of the range and the top of the range, this is our expectation, especially with this top of the range now, getting closer to descending 200 simple and exponential, basically a death cross. So I think we are looking to see this bounce play out now back up to the top of the range, another 6.5% move. And we'll see if it has any more power to move beyond that. We were talking briefly about how the Dixie still looks like it wants to come down, so the dollar down a little bit, consolidating still after its giant death cross retest. Excuse me. And stocks look like they want to continue to creep back up, even if it's just for a short while. And the dominance chart continuing to reject, which is all good for altcoins, which we can reflect on the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, which all looks good. And then to be fair, on the stream last night, it started really strong. We looked at, you wouldn't have thought that there was a poor sentiment in the market with the first few charts that we'd brought up. There's probably about 5 or 6 altcoins that were actually really good looking charts. So I'm just going to talk about XRP anyway today, because it's a big position of mine, always has been, and probably always will be. To be honest with you, it's almost part of me these days, to be honest with you. So yeah, and I know that a lot of you lot have it also, because you believed with me that we were going to rise to new levels and remain at higher levels. So let's just recap. Big breakout, 2017. Giant consolidation, new bull market, no new all-time high, end of the apex, pow! And so here we are then. So we're at a crucial resistance for short and medium term. It's the $2.52. So if we move down to a daily, the 252, it's not just this horizontal that goes back to these candle bodies over here, but it's actually just a little bit of a box above it that we drew in last night, just so all time frames can reference it. Death crosses. So we saw rejections a few days ago. Now, when you get a death cross rejection, you kind of expect it to come back down to where it started from, which could have meant all the way back down here on 220. And it still could. Let's face it, we've not broken above it yet. We're still below it. But nice little move overnight, to be fair. The way we left the stream last night, we were basically saying, well, overall, the market should bounce. So everything should bounce with the market. And it looks like that's what's happening. But some charts are obviously better than others. And they should not just bounce, but continue to trend. Because they are trending. Some of them. Not all. Some of them. And so really, long story short for XRP, we're looking and needing to break above the box here, which is between 252 and 265. So it's quite a short range for XRP these days. Now we've got a pump signal as well here. So the pump signal exists on the 4 hourly, bit of hidden bullish divergence, trying to get above all moving averages. Obviously the box here is relevant across all time frames, you can see. At the moment we're getting a supported move on the 20 moving average, which is uptrending as well. So this is all looking reasonable, and these are the sort of things you look at to think, well, is the resistance going to break or are we going to reject? So one of the main things to always think about with the resistance is that you should always expect a rejection from it, all right? Always. It comes less likely in a few scenarios. So first reason it's less likely in this occasion is because the 20 moving average is facing up. So that gives you an ascending triangle formation, which is more bullish than bearish. So if we just think about the 20 moving average moving up in this sort of direction, just generally speaking, there's your first level of resistance, there's your last level of resistance. The supports get higher each time, and the resistances stay the same. That's why it's a more bullish than bearish formation. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to break out, not at all. Just ever so slightly more likely to break out than break down. So that's what we're in. and again with the money flow index there as well. Now we were looking at a few other time frames across the board for all charts really. We're looking at this on a 3-month, which is kind of crazy, but the money flow index is still at 64. Now we do have one whopping drive of bearish divergence, but we're not overheated at all on a high term time frame, on the super high term time frame, which makes me think that we can find our way up to a new high on this one. I don't know where it's going to go. New all-time high, I think, is quite likely for XRP. Moving over to the monthly, well, you can see the retest of the 20, and at the moment we're sort of just flapping around. It's almost like the candle doesn't really exist when you look at it like this. Momentum and money flow is actually coming down on the monthly, which is a bit of a shame, but if you move over to the weekly, we've consolidated to quite a low level on the money flow index, and so if we were to do one of those quick, short, few weeks worth of parabolic run on XRP, like we've seen in the past, like this one, or even back in the olden days, this one, or obviously there was this one. It's something like that. I think we should be thinking with targets, $4, $5, $6, $7, and see if there's got any more to run beyond that. Now, I'm not saying that because that's where I think it's going to go. At the moment, the only place I'm expecting it to go is this box, and then beyond that box, we've got 282, and then beyond that, you've got these resistances at $3, and then you've got this one at 345, and then you've got 350, 360. Yeah, so you've got to look at every resistance until you get there. But when you get to a new all-time high and you create a blue sky breakout, the sell walls are less than they are when they are in this scenario. So you're going to have marked off areas where sell walls exist, where previous price action has been rejected. Those are the big sell walls are there because it's all about risk, isn't it? Take profit at areas where you're expecting rejection. That's why the sell walls exist at those levels. But when you break above it, the blue sky breakout takes place, and actually the sell walls are much thinner. And then obviously, I imagine everybody will go, XRP is going to be $1,000 a piece. You have all these fresh-faced young 20-odd-year-olds from their neon-lit bedrooms talking about how XRP is the future. And that will cause a little bit more euphoria. Captain Noobmaster will wake up. Oh, is it time to buy XRP? Yeah, it's $10 a coin. Okay, right, okay, and then that's it. The money starts flowing back in with very thin sell walls. So, but at the moment the sell walls are quite high at those areas that we've established. So you just got to watch this space. And one of the big sell walls is basically right now. So if we do get rejected this very moment in time, and this is the high of the day, so be it. However, the market as a whole does still point to actually a fair bit more upside, in my opinion, based around Bitcoin, all right? Based around the dominance chart and stocks and the dollar. So overall, despite being at this resistance, and again, ascending triangle formation, despite being at the resistance, I think there is a much better chance of us breaking today or over the next few days than there was on the initial run-up and breakout from this symmetrical triangle. Anyway, that's all there is to say about it. Let's not take up too much of the available time in the morning. I know what mornings are like. Time flies fast. The last thing you need is me droning on about any other reason why I think this chart is going to go up. I've given you the bull case, I've given you the bear case. My summary is bull, and I expect more upside moves on this chart specifically, but on quite a lot of others. Again, if you want to join the Patreon, I think there is value to it. We have some really good Patreon members that scour TradingView for some of the best charts out there, and I have to say, like yesterday, early on in the stream, the first 3 or 4 charts that we looked at, they actually all presented in a really quite a bullish way. So there's one thing to be looking at, just random coins yourself and thinking, what should I do? Where should I go? What am I looking at? And then sort of having a small community like mine, where we all chip in together and sort of show each other's charts and, decide whether or not there is something going on there. And I think yesterday, was a good example of that. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Nothing much more to say about it all. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.